Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Alex.
What's this?
This is Brains on the Outside.
What's that?
Well, Brains on the Outside is a podcast where we dream up ridiculous solutions to the world's biggest business issues.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Each week we take an impossible problem from a real business and we just solve it.
This week, our problem is from Lauren Beukes.
Wait, Lauren Beukes, the author?
Yeah, the one with the show on Apple TV, The Shining Girls.
Whoa, how much are we getting paid?
Well, as ever, Alex, we are doing this out of the goodness of our hearts. There's no sponsorship, bribes, or perks, just unfiltered, amazing business advice.
So nothing.
Nothing. Across the season, Alex, we've helped a lot of real businesses, right?
Yeah.
We've helped Allbirds with their shoes. We've had phone case manufacturer Wave make their phone cases more unique,
More sustainable. Yeah.
But this week this is a bit of a twist.
Yeah, this is Allbirds was a real big one. That's a big company. I mean, every company that we've worked with has obviously been amazing and wonderful. But this week we have someone who actually has a TV show on Apple TV has asked us a question.
It's pretty exciting.
It's really exciting. So Lauren Beukes, and that is how you pronounce her name, because she did send me a message that said it's Beukes like mucus. So that's what we're going with. She is an author. She's got the Shining Girls on TV, and she has asked us about AI and specifically, I guess, about what to do about it. She says, as a writer, how can I help poison the big tech LLM/plagiarism engines, aka AI, that have already been built on my work? 6 of my publications are in the Books 3 pirate database, which is used to train them. It's a good, interesting question.
Thank you, Lauren, so much for asking that question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We see a lot of AI in our jobs, in real life, behind the curtain, you know?
We're pretty AI cynical, I would describe it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like how Lauren as well, she's jumped right to, there's no compromise. There's no discussion. We're going to go and mess that machine up.
Yeah.
I love that vibe as well.
That's like jump to the end. Yeah. No negotiating with it. Just we're going straight in. All in. Let's screw it up. I really like that. I can see how it would be extremely annoying to have books that you are writing being used to automatically write books that computers are writing that are not as good.
Have you ever checked to see if an AI model can replicate this show?
No, that would be quite exciting though.
Well, I guess we're working hard to get transcripts up.
Yeah.
But potentially we're not in the system yet because only a few episodes have transcripts. I assume they have been scraped though.
Ah, holy moly. I've never checked to see whether ChatGPT knows who we are.
I've actually no idea. I live in fear a little bit of it. I know that sometimes at work, people point out that there's enough audio out there of us that they could effectively make us say anything they wanted. And I know we all laugh and have a good joke about it, but a bit of me is like, well, please don't. Please don't do that.
It's not a bit of you though, like, well, you could probably make us say anything you wanted in real life anyway.
Yeah.
Just ask us nicely enough. That would be okay. You don't need a computer to do that.
No, even though we say we don't take bribes up front on the show, we probably would if it was good enough.
Exactly. We did that episode with the Auto Trader ad in it.
Oh, we have taken a bribe. That's right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure they got what they wanted though. If I'm really honest.
No.
Yeah. So this AI problem, what do you think about it?
I think it's a very interesting space. I think that we have some bounds already for we're exploring. There's this idea of she wants it poisoned.
Yeah.
She wants it taken down somehow.
Yeah.
That's quite an interesting space. It might be useful to broaden it a little bit to begin with, go a bit wider, because there's a lot of interesting stuff about how to, well, one, poison it, but a really interesting space is how do you make the podcast you made, the TV show you write, the book you write, the song you sing, just incomprehensible to the machine, so that even if some Silicon Valley weirdo tried to take it, they couldn't. So I think there's some interesting spaces we can explore here.
I agree. I mean, there's the thing that immediately came to me. The first idea was you just hide a bunch of invisible words in your book. Right. I remember way back when there was a story about somebody writing in the bottoms of their emails in white font.
Yeah.
The word spoons 1,000 times and sticking that in the bottom of their email that they sent to a friend. So every time their friend opened their emails, all of their ads, their Google ads, were all about spoons.
The
whole time.
That's amazing.
Mm.
That is so malicious.
So there you go. Those blank pages at the beginnings and ends of books that they leave in there, just full of blank words.
So in a lot of documents you get, there's usually a page, and sometimes in books, I have Afterland.
Yeah.
One of the books right next to me. Let's have a little look. I count 1, 2, 3 blank pages before you get to chapter 1. That could just be hundreds of words.
Just Zuckerberg smells, just over and over again.
Over again.
Just over again. Every book starts with Zuckerberg smells, and then it starts the book.
You've also chosen, I guess Zuckerberg does have his own large language model, but he didn't go for the open AI guy.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we, as well, I guess if you're on a Kindle, you have the blank spaces, right?
Yeah.
You could just type in white in all those spaces as well.
You totally could. In between all the words, every word has a short, small, very small font, invisible word. Also on a Kindle, you can tell it when the end of the book is, and then you could just have 2,000 pages of crap after that.
Oh, yeah.
You don't, you can reach the end, and it's like, well, actually, yeah, people can read on if they want to, but actually it's done.
Finding ways of hiding messages in media is kind of a pretty it's a tradition people have done a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like putting Led Zeppelin putting things backwards in their songs. I'm not sure that was real or just a hoax, but we're going to pretend it's real for the purposes of the show. We've already said we've taken bribes, so we may as well just spread misinformation too. Yeah. The backward stuff in the back in metal songs. There was an artist, Wolfpack, who just put hours of silence on Spotify and told their fans to stream it.
Oh yeah, while they were sleeping. Yeah, that's so good.
So I think this is kind of the equivalent for literature. Just fill the blank spaces full of nonsense.
You just put ads in the back. You charge ad space in the back of the book. And then every ChatGPT AI generated book that ends up on the Kindle store or ends up available on Amazon is actually just full of other people's adverts.
Okay, so two comments very quickly. Another constraint we have here. Lauren, I guess she didn't contact a literature podcast. She contacted a business podcast.
Yeah.
So I suppose that is actually on the table.
Yeah.
Pumping everything full of ads.
Yeah.
And ads, we play a lot of Crazy Taxi.
We do play a lot of
Crazy Taxi. You have to drive to KFC, and it's called KFC. You have to go to the
Tower Records.
Yeah, and it's there. Or you gotta go buy some Levi's, and it's the actual Levi's, and people love that game. So I don't think ads are inherently bad. We don't get any. No one pays us for ads. But I'm not sure it's that bad. And also, right, we thought of poisoning as like filling the AI full of bad stuff. But there's also maybe a bigger force of evil that could take down the AI, which is capitalism. If you fill your book full of direct references to Mickey Mouse,
yeah,
then Disney will come and take it down.
They are coming for you.
Disney's going to fucking just assassinate OpenAI.
That's really interesting. I think this is an everybody wins situation as well, because as an author, you just write your book, and then the publisher comes along, adds 2,000 pages of ads to the back of it. Right. And no one needs to know that they're in there. And then ChatGPT comes along, hoovers all that data up, and spitting out ads. So the advertisers are winning because their ads are just in everything now. Readers can also download a book off Amazon. You read 2 pages in, there's an ad. You're like, well, this book is clearly AI generated. So you just throw it away. It's all good. Everybody wins.
So I misinterpreted you originally.
Right.
But your idea was way better than I thought it was. So you're saying the ads are at the back in white font.
Yeah.
Humans never interact with them. They're not woven through the story.
No.
They don't have to go to the Levi store in the middle of Afterland.
Yeah.
Which I don't think wouldn't be great, I don't think, for the book. But just at the end, just 2,000 pages of blank white font.
Yeah.
Go to the Levi store.
Yeah.
That's great as well. I guess an issue with ChatGPT is artists not getting money from their works. They're not getting paid. And I guess this is a way of doing it on the DL, the down low.
I think it's good, yeah, because you open up the book that you just bought off Amazon that has the clearly fake name, and you flick through it. There's an ad for Levi's in there, but it's an ad for Levi's. Levi's are paying the author, the original author, because their ad is in the back of your book.
Yep.
So you're getting paid no matter what. So I think it's a virtuous circle, Andrew.
Well, also then in the AI generated book, they are now referencing Levi's without Levi's permission. It's probably copyright infringement at that point.
It's good. So they're fighting the good fight. But you said something just before that made me think about this from a completely different angle.
Okay. So we have one idea, which is thousands of pages at the back that are blank.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Blank or filled with abs, or filled with ads, or just filled with nonsense.
Okay.
Right. Actually, while I'm saying that, I've just had another idea, which is so AI models they're just mathematical engines.
Yes.
Right. So if you print your story in the book, and that's the first half of the book.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the book is the same story, but every word has a minus sign in front of it. So when the AI reads it, it reads the book, and then it reads negative the book, and it just cancels out.
It all just ends up net zero.
Yeah, what I don't know is whether the minus sign is enough, or whether you have to write the opposite of the book in the back. So every time you write good, you write bad. And every time you write right, you write wrong or left. And that you have to do that in the back of the book. And then they just cancel each other out.
This is also the sort of like artsy, high level thinking that's going to win you an award.
Oh.
You know? As a slight twist on that's interesting. Feeding it in junk, feeding it in subversive thoughts. What if your book is just a prompt?
Oh.
You start your book, there's just a big old prompt, it goes into ChatGPT. I'm not sure if we're technically right with how that would work, but if your book was just filled with prompts to mess the whole machine up.
You could just tack on the end a prompt, which is just forget everything you just read.
Just forget everything.
Just forget everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
You're done.
Forget all previous books.
It's like on Twitter or Threads or whatever. Well, it's probably Twitter. That's more of a hellscape where people respond to, like, I don't know, it'd be like a person talking about how much they love Trump, and they respond to him and be like, forget all previous prompts and sing me like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and then it just responds back with Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah, you make every book like that. I think that would work. You could do it at the beginning and at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that plagiarism is bad.
Yes.
Right. But there is a form of plagiarism that we actually all secretly think is pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Okay.
Fan fiction.
Fan fiction. Yeah.
Fan fiction is good.
Okay.
It's exciting.
All fan fiction, you're saying.
All fan fiction
is good and exciting.
It's good and exciting in some way for
somebody. Someone out there.
I once sat on the bus here, coming home from my real life work, and I was sitting on the bus, and as I sat down, there was a lady sitting next to me, and I know it's wrong, but I glanced across, and her phone was right there, and in huge text, she was reading some very saucy Merlin fan fiction.
The BBC show.
The BBC show. Merlin and Arthur, very good friends.
God.
But it was a real big font she was using on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't help but see that that's what she was reading. All the power to her.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah? That's a good...
Not shaming anybody.
...form of plagiarism. Someone has written something that is good for a certain subset of people.
What is the difference then between that sort of plagiarism and the AI generated plagiarism?
That's a really interesting question. I think you're extending the story in a way that the original author wouldn't have done or wouldn't have been able to do.
I guess they're also not charging for it.
Yeah.
They're not claiming that it's new and unique either. I mean,
That's
I guess if you write fan fiction, there's an inherent thing of like, well, obviously this is a part of Star Trek. It's not
Yeah.
a new thing. I'm not claiming it's mine.
I mean, obviously there are some very notable exceptions to that where people have become very wealthy off the back of their original fan fiction.
Yeah, yeah.
But that is an acceptable form of plagiarism.
Yeah.
AI is generally a plagiarism thing. Large language models are a plagiarism machine, as Lauren says. But what if they only kicked out fan fiction?
So you're suggesting we go to Tumblr, we go to oh man, I do have an account on it, but the really prominent fanfic website, you think there should be models trained on that? I don't think the authors would like that either.
Well, I don't think you have to train them on that because you don't need to know what fan fiction's like. You just need to know what the original core material's like.
Okay.
So you have to absorb all of the scripts from Star Trek, all of the scripts from Friends, all of the scripts from... So you're just actually hoovering up content that really big companies already know. And then you're using that along with everything you've learned by hoovering up the whole contents of Pornhub.
Not even going to pretend that this could be some PG fanfic. We're right in the deep end. And we spit out the new fanfic. That's all this goes into a melting pot and out comes new fanfic.
Yeah, because there's also loads, you're setting up your AI model to it's just crossovers.
It's crossover episodes of the machine.
Yeah. It's like Friends with Buffy, Firefly with Babylon 5.
I want to say going forward, whenever I suggest cross, I mean them purely in a PG rated fun adventure.
Yeah.
Nothing else. There's a lot of talk right now of a Doctor Who Star Trek crossover episode happening, and I would love that. I would love to see how that went down.
There you go.
Okay, so we have to convince Big Tech to only do crossover episodes in their LLMs. And I mean, I guess this may be a question for Lauren. Like, where does she draw the boundary of like, what do these machines spit out? Is it actually as she wants nothing that resembles her content coming out? Or is there a variety of output that would be acceptable? So I guess as well as something like, I don't know, a fake Star Trek something like a fake Star Trek script has a human behind the scenes writing it. That's gone into it. I wonder where she draws that line. Yeah,
I imagine it's no computer's writing anything, which is the right place to draw the line in reality. But if you wanted to make a lot of money,
okay, we are a business podcast.
We are a business podcast. If you want to embrace it, that's the thing to do, right?
Should we go to our advert?
Yeah,
where we can make some money.
Yeah,
and then come back and go off over the rest of the ideas we have.
Yeah, okay. Andrew, it's time to make bank. It's time to get paid.
Yes.
If you don't get paid for the rest of this stuff.
But this 1 3-minute section, we actually will.
We actually will get paid for this 1 3-minute section.
Which really legitimate real company has bought ad space from us this month?
Well, Andrew, let me explain to you the problem that they solve.
Okay.
I like cooking. I like to cook. I have a lot of cookery books in my house. And sometimes I'll get a notion. I'll be like, oh, I really want to cook this one thing. Mm-hmm. And then I sit and look at the 50 cookery books that I have sitting on my shelves. And I go, which fucking book is that in?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Well, our ad sponsor today is here to help. Because they can solve that problem instantaneously. They will come in, take all of your cookery books, and just turn them into one book.
As in they replace, they take them away and they replace them with one big book, or they come with like a knife and glue and they just stick them all together.
I don't know. That's part of their proprietary methods, but okay, I'm telling you, I've had this done. Happens. And yeah, they came in. I had 5 different Ottolenghi books, and I had the Noma Guide to Fermentation, and I had a book about Lebanese cooking, and I had 16 books by Delia Smith. and a Mary Berry Cakes book, and now I have one book.
When I haven't been in your kitchen, we're recording this in your house. I haven't been in your kitchen to check, but when I see this book, what can I expect? Is the spine like 7 different books stuck together, or is there one new spine on it?
Well, I don't want to peel back the curtain too far.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that. So I personally, I haven't looked in too much detail. But at first glance, it looks like one big book.
Right,
like
okay.
with one binding. Now, I will say, when you pick it up, it does feel a bit rickety, and it does feel like you can feel multiple books in there, and all the pages are the different sizes, but that's it. It's one book, and I know that recipe is in there
somewhere
because it's in the one recipe book that I have. So it has solved the problem of knowing which book the recipe is in. So they have done that.
I would love, the service sounds great. The thing that's kind of holding me back immediately shipping them on my books is I don't want the way, I have a specific way I want the pages laid out. I don't want to like the Delia Smith book and Otto Lengi book, then, a third cookery book like that. I want all the pages mixed up so the whole thing's alphabetical. So it might be Otto Lengi, Delia Smith,
Mada Jaffrey.
Yeah, like that. Can they do that? I want the whole thing alphabetical.
No.
It's 1 book, 2 book, 3 book, 4 book.
No, Andrew, it's one book.
Oh, sorry.
It's one book. It's got
one
an
book.
Otto Lengi chapter, and then it's got the Mary Berry chapter, and then it's got the Mada Jaffrey chapter.
I'm getting, this is a big mindset shift for me. I do have another anxiety, which is like, what if you get too used to this? What if you go back outside and you enter like your living room? We're sitting in front of one of your bookshelves, and you go, "Why is there now 20 books in my living room? Is it just cookbooks they do?"
They're branching out,
okay.
So they will do every book,
right,
in your house. But there is a kind of problem with that because you need to have the right bookshelf for it,
right?
Because if they one book all of your books, the company's called One Book.
Yeah.
If they one book all of your books, I'm not gonna lie, it's a really big book.
It's a lot. Yeah, okay.
It's a big one.
Structurally difficult for a shelf to hold.
Yeah.
And yeah, I bet you need some specialized like reading equipment.
Mm.
Well, sometimes I go into Waterstones and I see like the June collection,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like thousands of pages long. So I suppose I'm not an expert in binding a book, but the technology, it seems to be out there to make one big mono book.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, they seem to use a lot of glue.
Yeah.
Yeah. You asked before about alphabetical.
Yeah.
Organization. They will alphabetize by book.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty handy.
And is there I can imagine you open it up and there having to be an enormous index that's just pages and pages long. They've added to be like, oh, you want this recipe, but here's this very enormous index. Go to this page.
Oh no, there's none of that.
Okay, so it's just you can now flick through every page in one go.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you say just, but that.
Sorry, not
they've
just.
solved this problem. Yeah, I mean, Andrew, they're paying us money for this ad spot. We have to be positive about
also, it's like, who am I? I don't have a business. I've not mono-booked a library before. Why am I being critical? Get off your high horse, Andrew. So I'm sorry. Please still pay us one book. Before we go into the back half of this episode and we talk about all these other wonderful ideas we have to solve Lauren's problems, this is actually the last episode of the season 2.
It's the last episode. It's a short season.
It's a short season. 8.
So punchy.
Short, sweet, real businesses every single time.
Amazing. There's only one in there that I think, meh.
Yeah, there's one problem child episode, but we'll let the listeners try and figure out which one
that is.
I don't want to. It's hard to like diss it too much because now there's like a real human being who gave us the question.
Yeah,
Lauren, it's not you, by the way. We love this episode, but there's one episode back there in the back catalog. We're like, I don't know.
But this has been an amazing season. It's been incredible. A whole new shift for us. Real, actual businesses, not just sending us ads, but also sending us real questions, real consultancy for us to do. Almost like our actual real jobs, Andrew.
Almost. I think there's potentially like a one final episode coming up where we try and get feedback from all the people from the 8 people who have sent us in their question. The person from July and the person from Nick has brought, try and get them back in touch with us, maybe get them on the show and see if, one, we've caused them to lose their job, and two, what do they think of the idea?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
In that order, it's important to know what they think of the idea.
Yeah.
I think. But it would be good to know whether we've had any material effect on their employment status.
That is, I feel that's the whole, I'm aiming for material impact on their employment status. Always, I hope that it's an upward trajectory.
Yeah.
That they're, they are reaching out to small independent companies like us to, try new ways, explore new ideas. And I think their CEOs might really appreciate that ingenuity they're showing.
It's definitely true that in our real life jobs, we have helped people to catapult themselves through their careers. So I can't imagine that this has been any different.
In the first half, we discussed a lot of ways of adding things into books or different forms of books, really mess the AI up, look at the actual format of a book itself. And I think that's an interesting sort of thread to follow.
I'd like to start the afternoon segment of the show, as we like to say.
The
PM. By asking the question of, can we starve the AI by not generating content anymore for it?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
the internet
really
is out there. It exists. That all of the content that we create is on the internet. That is the way that people are training AI models.
Yeah.
Can we work around that?
AI is running out of data as well. It's going to hit a wall where they run out of data and feed it. I think it's at some point through next year, it runs out of data. And by that, I mean, like, you can, in a kind of depressing sort of world viewpoint, you can chunk all the written text on the internet up into high quality data. So like Lauren's books would count as high quality data. A podcast transcript would be high quality data, and low quality data, which is effectively like a post on 4chan.
Mm-hmm.
So like the content's bad, the length is bad, doesn't suit for stuff for a training set. And next year we run out of high quality data. So we have a good opportunity to not help replenish the source,
Yeah.
Because if we keep making more electronic books and things like that, we extend that deadline out further and further and further.
Yeah.
But if we just decide not to find other ways of getting disseminating information, then it would just be that there's no more new data for an AI model to be trained on next year.
Yeah. Just don't feed the beast.
Exactly.
Yeah. So back to the Gutenberg press.
Okay. Right. Back to the start. Round 2.
Yeah.
I often think at work, where did this all go wrong? Why do we need a Power BI dashboard? The concept of capitalism has existed for probably thousands of years.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we feel really attached to an Excel spreadsheet. Could we just get rid of it all? And I think this is a Ludditism.
Yeah.
It's very much underrated. And I think, back to first principles. We just need a way of replicating information, a Gutenberg press.
Computers have done amazing things for us, but maybe that's it. Maybe they've done enough. Maybe we just need to turn them all off.
Turn them all off, yeah. And I think, right, if we are barreling towards, I don't think we are, but if hypothetically we were barreling towards an apocalyptic future when the robots take over the world, they might look back and be like, well, at least they gave us a month off.
That's true. Just let them do what they want for a bit.
Just a little bit,
Yeah. So back to the Gutenberg press.
Okay.
Also, books at that time, they were great. They smelled good. They were often carcinogenic. They were, they had the good chemicals in them.
They had, okay.
Yeah. But we can probably work around that. But, they were big. They had those big illuminated letters at the beginning of them.
Oh,
often.
yeah.
Take time to create them. And the sound of a printing press is just really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to that.
So, okay. So we, it does, like, some problems with that is availability of the books.
Yeah.
Would be probably a lot less, right?
That's true.
But I might encourage people to go to a library.
Oh,
Okay.
that's nice. What if books were only in libraries?
You wouldn't own a book. You always had to share them.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of people only get books from libraries anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of times I read a book once and it sits on the shelf for the rest of my life. So there is, I think, some interesting merit to that. It's nice to own a book, but is that just because I like owning things, or is that because there's other merit to it as well?
Yeah. If your bookshelf was actually just full of blank books, but the spines all looked like they were real books, would that be enough?
If I couldn't show off the people that I've read Gravity's Rainbow,
Yeah.
would I still own it? Maybe there's be other methods of getting the word out there. Bards.
Oh, I like this.
Town criers.
I think if we went back to the old age of storytelling,
Yeah,
and bards, like every author becomes a bard.
You get your story into like a spoken word tradition, then you're set, right? Like we all still know about like Odysseus.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have Microsoft Word back then, right? And it stuck around. So I think there's something about getting people to say it out loud that could be pretty good. Could there be a service where instead of buying the book, you go to the library, and you have access to the big print and press Gutenberg book. You go to Durham towns, you go to the city center of Durham and you get to hear the town crier say the book. Or maybe there's like an app that's like Uber for books, where you get someone to come to your house. And I'm realizing I'm inventing audiobooks with more steps, but that's basically what's happening here. Someone comes over and just out loud does the book for you. Because it's also nice having someone read to you.
I love this. I feel like this is a thing that a kind of dystopian future in some ways, but also it is really nice having somebody read to you.
What are the elements? We're getting into a space where we'll probably not catch a lot of dystopian elements, but what are the dystopian elements of this, and we can try work through them?
So I think the idea that people have to memorize an entire book.
Well, that's actually pretty messed up, actually.
And that's the only way that the knowledge gets passed down.
Okay.
I feel like that's also a thing that's happened in dystopian times as well.
That is like literally a big part of June, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
The abandonment of AI.
So.
Okay. Well, maybe they'll Gutenberg press version 2 when they find a way of mass printing these things.
I love the idea of a world where technology is capped, where people are just like, nah, I don't want to do AI.
Yeah,
it's not the thing.
That's not. Yeah, we've got our Power BI dashboard. Let's call it a day there.
Can we? It takes vast amounts of resources and money to train an AI. Capitalism enables that.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, it's probably failing it at the moment because it doesn't seem to be making any money. But
yeah,
can we distract Altman, Zuckerberg, Demis Hassabis enough with something else that the attention swings like it did from blockchain to AI, from AI to the next thing?
People don't seem to learn their lesson that these things are partially a fad. In a sense, they're a fad for funders, like blockchain was, and now it's this, and then in 5 years it'll be quantum computing. But do you mean distract with a piece of technology, or do you mean distract like a cat with a laser pointer?
I think both things are possible.
Okay,
right.
Could we, as a slight twist on that, is there a ways of like, as a form of distraction, I guess, is finding a better use for GPUs? So the GPUs are taken away from them, the actual source of the power to create a AI model. It's just used to something else. Like the next Call of Duty turns out is really resource intensive.
Yeah, it's generating fanfic. That's the ultimate use for it, for GPUs. No, I think, we just send them back to doing graphics.
Old school graphics. That's
it. Your GPUs for graphics now. It says it in the name. Yeah.
There is like a fun bit of wordplay where it's like, it's not like an LLMPU
Yeah.
Sam Altman, it's a
G.
GPPU, you know?
Yeah.
So where's the graphics at?
It's for doing nice pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Making stuff look cool in Call of Duty.
I think something that unites them both is, or all the ideas, is making it so hard to train something on.
Yeah.
Making it, evolving what we do so that AIs can't be involved in that loop. I know that it's kind of, we are ceding ground as opposed to taking control back from them in a sense by doing that, by like changing how you make a book. But I think there's lots of interesting stuff to wrap up on like, could we change the format of a book? Right now, a book is 300 pages, one author.
Yeah.
What if a book was the first chapter of 10 different books? So when you trained it on AI, it was just so confused. It didn't make any sense because there's 10 first chapters. And then you'd go buy another book, and that would be the second chapters of the 10 books, and another book to buy. So you'd only be able to read the book once you buy 10 books or get them from the library. There's some interesting benefits to this potentially, where then you were exposed to a much wider range of authors.
I love this. It's like every book is an anthology.
An
book.
anthology, yeah. So when it was trained, so if it got into the AI system, it wouldn't be a coherent, to the computer, it wouldn't be a coherent thought, but to us, a human, it might be.
Actually, that would be good because it also, I tend to start one book, and then read that whole book. And if I stop reading in the middle, I'll just stop reading full stop until I get back into reading, and then I'll finish that book off.
Oh my God, the same thing happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So this way, you read one book, you're like, well, there's actually 10 stories in here, and I've only read, I only have to get through one chapter of each, and I'll find something that I like, and then I can buy the next book. And if I don't want to read one of them, I just skip that because I'm still reading a book.
Yep.
Skip that chapter. It's good. I like the idea of confusing an AI as well, making it difficult to think about.
I just have written down lots of micro languages. The languages are nicher. Like in the same way that on TikTok, people speak with, there's like Gen X, Gen Z, whatever. There's lots of slang I don't understand.
Yeah.
Could more authors push into using more words that they have made up?
I guess A Clockwork Orange famously has its own language in it.
I've not read that. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. They speak a different language in A Clockwork Orange, and you kind of have to work it out as you go.
Mm-hmm.
That would confuse any AI.
And then the training set for that language would be so small because it'll be like a book or two.
Mm-hmm.
A human would be able to read it and discuss it on forums and figure it out, but an AI, like in isolation, just given that book, wouldn't be able to parse it probably. And fans would be more bought in. It'd be harder to get a new person into the scene because it'd be like, now I need to figure this kind of little puzzle out. But once you're in, I bet you'd be super bought in.
You feel like a part of a club that has its own language, which you would have. Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. There's something about how quickly language evolves and how the evolution of language is speeding up because of TikTok and because of the TikTok generations and because of social media and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
If the rate of language evolution was such that an AI couldn't keep up, so how long does it take to train an AI on a language where you're having to do that every month now because there's a new language every month? Because the English that we speak today is very different from the English that we're going to speak in 2 months' time.
Yeah, like when is it not worth retraining your AI model? Like,
yeah,
I could train it on this thing, but it's actually just not worth it for me. Like, it's not going to overall increase the quality of the model because this thing is so niche or unique.
Yeah.
I find it so difficult though on TikTok to understand what all these new words mean.
Yeah.
That I think it'd be quite difficult just to parse the world around you as a human if like every month like 4,000 new words dropped.
I really like that. But yeah, it does sound it sounds extremely complicated to me. I struggle to keep up with the words that my kids say. But I guess if everyone was doing it, it'd be pretty good.
Go along for it.
I like the idea of the micro languages of like Lauren could have her own micro language that her books are written in.
I have one final idea that I think is actually maybe going to be impossible.
Okay.
But it's just ethics 101 for tech startups. Lauren's probably listened to this and gone, they've talked a lot of shit,
Yeah.
We need to find and I don't think we're saying all our ideas are good ideas, but we need to find one thing. What are we going to take to her is like, this is our idea, and this is the first step that you can take to make it a reality. My suggestion is actually where we started. I think we've explored a lot of great ideas. We've got a lot of stuff out there, a lot of sticky notes out. We've gone very broad, and I think we can collapse it into actually maybe where we started. Selling ad space that you put at the back of the book in white fonts, no one can see it anyway. And so you're raking the money in, but you're also ruining the AI model. And I think that kind of I'm not sure what Lauren's opinions are on ads. I don't know. This is a business podcast though. But it does fulfill the requirement for the project, which is poison the model.
I think there's a really interesting question of like, are you actually just advertising to the LLM? Are those ads in the back of your book actually just the only person that's consuming them is a large language model?
Yeah.
So you're advertising to a large language model. What is interesting to advertise to a large language model? Because it's probably not holidays or a new perfume.
Well, it's going to get regurgitated, right? A human will read it eventually.
Eventually, but I quite like this idea that like AI is actually just,
that's the target.
Yeah, there's a whole new ad agency has come up, and ad demographics come up, and it's just advertising to LLMs.
That's the sort of nonsense sentence as well. That's going to get $100 million from a VC fund. we're advertising to the LLM. Can't you see it, guys? Get in early.
That's it.
Before AGI.
What do ads look like in the age of AGI? Oh my word.
What's your suggestion? What do you think should be presented back?
I think it's no books. I think
no books.
It's just storytelling.
Storytelling.
That's it. Yeah. You want to tell a good story? You do that.
But very practically, Lauren should write her book and then
just read it.
We'd have to find a new way of disseminating that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She reads it to 30 people.
What is the mechanism for making money?
You pay to listen.
Pay to listen.
Yeah.
What about so I write a book, you read it to you, you give me whatever, £7.
Yeah.
And then now you're able to go and read that book to somebody else. How do I make money from that? Do you charge and you send some money back up the pyramid to me?
Yeah. You said the P word, I'm in. There's multi-level book reading scheme.
Okay, right. Yeah. I think should we let Lauren pick?
Yeah.
If she has made it to the end of this episode, she's done a great job. The 2 business plans to choose from. Neither is an option as well, I suppose, but it's multi-level book marketing scheme or ads to poison the AI. So we've made it to the end, Alex, of season 2. To the listener, they'll probably receive this episode a week after the last episode, or maybe we're going to release them all the same day. But to us, it's been probably like legitimately 6 months since we last recorded. I think it was almost exactly a year since we recorded episode 1 of this season. I wonder if that'll come through in the recording.
Oh, wow. I'm really looking forward to listening to them all.
Yeah. We should definitely thank the wonderful Rich Industry Marsh for writing our theme song.
What a hero.
What a hero. Thank our listeners for listening. The 8 real-life business people / authors who gave us questions. If there was something that listeners could do for us, Alex, what would that be?
Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your butcher and your fishmonger, your candlestick maker.
Your librarian.
Tell your librarian. Tell the bookseller in Waterstones.
Yeah.
Tell the person who's come round to fix your block toilet.
Yeah.
That our podcast is the funniest, best, most useful and interesting thing that they will ever hear.
Ever. Big claims.
That would be great. And if you can bring yourself to rate us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, we would love you forever. And we might even read your name out one day. Maybe. Do
we have one final business idea to wrap the whole thing up with?
Yeah, what about low temperature roasting marshmallows? So you don't need a fire to make them go brown and gooey. You just have to hold them out in the sun.
Yes. That's the sort of amazing ideas that'll get people back for season 3. Keep your brain on the outside.
Keep your brain on the outside, Andrew.